So we all know that the Western Conference is absolutely loaded. So much parity, a lot of focus on the defending champion Warriors, and with good reason. LaMarcus Aldridge going to San Antonio has brought the spotlight there as well. But the LA Clippers, I think, are going to be an extremely compelling team all year long. On paper, you look at it and you think, well, it's the same old core. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan almost went to Dallas, but he goes ahead and re-signs, sticks around in LA. But Lance Stephenson is an absolute wild card for these guys. Lance is still just 25 years old, still just a couple years removed from those days in Indiana that were so good with the Pacers. Had the terrible year in Charlotte last year, gets traded to the Clippers in June. I spoke with Clippers coach Doc Rivers about the process leading up to the trade, the background work that he did, the decision to make that move, and how it's gone ever since. And he said so far so good. He likes what Lance is bringing in the locker room. He likes what he's bringing on the floor, so much so that he has him in that starting lineup. The last two games of the preseason, it wasn't Wesley Johnson or Paul Pierce starting at small forward for these title contending Clippers. It was Lance Stephenson who was out there with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, JJ Redick, and DeAndre Jordan. That's high praise for a guy who was an absolute question mark when they decided to add him to this group. And the thing is, it's not just Doc saying positive things about Lance to this point. I talked to Chris Paul about him, and he's given a thumbs up as well. Chris is the resident gatekeeper of all things Clippers, the loudest voice in their room, and he said that Lance is fitting in great. He likes him personality-wise. He likes the fit on the floor. He's a playmaker. He can score. He plays defense. The versatile kind of player that Chris likes. What I found interesting, though, is that Doc, as the head of the front office, was the guy who had to do all the background work. Said he made around 60 phone calls about Lance to learn more about him, find out what makes him tick, and decide before the trade whether or not it was something he wanted to do. Once they made the move, Chris, as his teammate, didn't want Lance feeling as if he had questions and skepticism when Lance came through those doors, so he took the opposite approach of Doc. He didn't call anybody in the league about Lance. He simply wanted to learn for himself what he thought. So far, so good. We'll see how this goes.